Welcome back. So, in the last video we went through just a really basic example where we had f of x being equal to x squared, and I left you guys with f of x being equal to 3x squared. Hopefully you managed to get it, when using that formula, to become 6x. What we're going to look at in this video is using fractions and surds, and how we can use that same formula to find out what the derivative of those are. So we'll start with fractions. So let's pick a black color for the moment. So let's take f of x being equal to 1 over x. That's a really bad x, so let's redo it. That's a bit better. Alright, so when we substitute this in, again, remembering wherever we see x for the first part of that equation, we'll make it x plus h. So let's go. F dash x is equal to limit as h tends towards 0 of 1 over x plus h minus 1 over x. Now all of this is divided by h. So how are we going to work out, how do we fix all of this? Because at the moment it looks pretty ordinary. Well, let's just take the top bit here, and what we're going to do is multiply both sides here by our lowest common denominator. So let's look, we've got x plus h and x. So what we'll do, we'll come down to a new line, f dash x equals the limit as h tends towards 0 of 1 over x plus h minus 1 over x divided by h again. Multiply all of this by our lowest common denominator, which in this case is going to be x plus h x plus h. Now we're going to do this multiplication on just the top bit for the moment, and it'll eventually, part of it will come down here. So let's go through. F dash x, and limit as h tends towards 0, we're going to have x plus h divided by x plus h, take away x plus h over x. All of this will be over h x plus h. Seems a bit messy for the moment, but it will work out if we give it time. So what we can see here, the first thing we can see, these are going to cancel out. Our x plus h, they'll turn into 1. And our x here and our x here again turn into 1. So let's have a look at what's going on when all this comes out of the wash. F of x, limit h tends towards 0. We're going to have up the top here x minus x plus h divided by h x times x plus h. So we end up with something that looks a little bit like this. So let's keep going and see what happens. F of x is equal to, now let's expand this out. So x minus x plus h, or x minus x minus h, because this minus sign is going to turn this positive into a negative. We'll have something that looks a bit x minus x. Whoops, I've forgotten the limit at the start, so let's add that in. Better keep it consistent. So I'm just going to move down a little bit. So x minus h divided by h times x plus h. Alright, so obviously x minus x is going to make all of this cancel out. The h's are also going to cancel out, leaving minus 1, let's make it a minus, and 1. And let's keep looking at it and see what happens next. So f dash x when h tends towards 0. Now we're going to have minus 1 over, let's expand this out, x squared plus x h. So now we can go through and look at the putting 0 in, and we should end up with something. Let's go over here. Minus 1 divided by x squared plus x multiplied by 0. As it gets closer and closer to 0, where it's not going to make any real difference. So, what will this look like in the end? F dash x is going to be equal to minus 1 on x squared. So it comes out quite easy in the wash, but the biggest issue that you'll find is back up here where you're multiplying through. So multiply the top bit here by your ones, you're going to multiply both those through by that, and your h by the bottom bit here. What about surds? And I'm going to open up a new page for this. So let's add a page, let's make it consistent. There we go. So surds. Now let's take the basic one, f of x is equal to the square root of x. Basic surd one. So again, whenever we've got x, we need to change it to x plus h. So let's work over here for a little bit. F dash x limit as h tends towards 0 of square root of x plus h. Oh, it's not plus. Minus the square root of x divided by h. Now you might think, oh, so what am I going to do? How am I going to actually work this one out? Well, it's quite simple. What we're going to do, we're going to multiply the whole thing, let's pick another colour for the moment, multiply the whole thing by the conjugate. Now, the conjugate is going to be just this bit here, but we change the minus sign to a plus sign. So let's multiply the top and the bottom, because whatever we do to the top, we've also got to do to the bottom. makes it the same. The square root of x plus h plus the square root of x divided by the same thing again, x plus h, so it's getting a little bit too small, plus the square root of x. And let's just chuck some brackets around there because we can. So when we're multiplying these through, we'll multiply, it's the same as multiplying fractions, so multiply bump, 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 and we should have something that will come out a little bit like this. So we'll end up with, that looks like this. So square root of x plus h multiplied by the square root of x plus h, so that's just squared. Take x square root of x squared, so that multiplied by that, this one multiplied by this one, remembering plus times minus is a negative. And again, if I can draw straight lines one day, that would be nice. All over h square root of x plus h plus square root of x. So again, we've got to try and get this here out. And I've forgotten to put the limit in again, so let's go back and fix that. And fix that up. Alright, so this is going to turn into something that looks a little bit like this. So x plus h minus x. Now, square root of a squared number is just that number, over h x plus h plus the square root of x. And obviously with our limit as h tends towards 0. Alright, let's keep working. F dash x h tends towards 0. We can see quite clearly that x minus x is going to equal 0, and h divided by h over h is going to equal 1. So we'll end up with something that looks a little bit like 1 divided by square root of x plus h plus the square root of x. So now we can go through and substitute our 0 in. One over the square root of x plus 0 plus the square root of x. And eventually it'll come out that we have f dash x to be equal to 1 over the square root of x plus the square root of x, which we know is just equal to square root 2 square root x. So our answer should be 2 square root x. Give the following a go and see how you go. I'll post up an answer a bit later at the start of the next video. So f of x is equal to x root x. Here's a hint for you. Rationalize it first, so it'll be x to the power of 3 on 2.